when we were 12, we got to pick an instrument for like orchestra or band, and so my mom took me to the music store, and I really wanted to play the bass because I was like really tiny and I like wanted to prove that I was bigger than I was or something. I don't know my reasoning behind it. And my mom said, "That's not going to fit in the car," even though it totally would have fit in the car looking back at it. So I chose the next biggest instrument, which is the cello. And that's a horrible reason to pick the cello, but that's my reasoning.
At my middle school, they said that they were going to start all over again from the beginning because they had so many beginner students. And so I thought it would be pretty boring to start back with Twinkle Twinkle after 5 years on violin. And viola was too similar, and bass you have to stand. So I decided to try out cello.
I started with my school music program, and I started taking lessons starting at the end of like 4th grade. And then I was in youth orchestra in middle school and high school, like outside of school. And then I also played in a cello ensemble that my private teacher put together with all the cellists from her studio. So that was probably my most like important cello experience because it was like all of my best friends just playing chamber music together and cello, so it was really cool. My first teacher, who I started taking lessons with at the end of 4th grade, I had lessons with her all the way through like 10th grade, and she was really, really awesome in some ways. Like she was amazing at like getting kids to just love the instrument and like getting people really, really excited about playing cello. But she didn't really teach like technique much at all. So she like focused totally on the musicality. And so when I finally did get a new teacher at the end of 11th grade, she just basically had me start completely from scratch with my technique because it was so bad.
I had 3 different cello teachers. So I had like different relationships with all of them. Like my first one was super sweet, super nurturing. And then Sandy was her name. And then the second one was Margaret. And she was a bit tougher. And then my last one, who is just like still is kind of a grandfather to me, was this old German man named Fred Heppner. And he was like 85, and he had been playing with symphony since he was like 18. And it was very much tough love. Like he would tell me exactly how horrible I was sounding, but in a nice way. Well, not a nice way, but it was good for me.
So I was in Milwaukee Youth Symphony Orchestra starting in 8th grade until I was a senior. I had another small advanced chamber orchestra, just called chamber orchestra, that was a mixture of the top players and the top 2 main orchestras, and I was also in that for about 3 years. Most of the teachers that I have encountered were really good. Anna Ruth Bermudez, who was actually a cellist from Venezuela that was teaching in Milwaukee, and she definitely showed me different styles and techniques that can be done on cello, even though it would be a few years after I met her that I would start to explore those on my own.
So I started out playing classical music and went into college to study music performance in hopes that I would get into a symphony orchestra afterwards. And I was kind of unsure if I wanted to like teach at a collegiate level or play in an orchestra, but I was leaning more towards the orchestra part. And then I was kind of disenchanted with how political the music world can get. And then I joined like an indie rock band playing the cello, and that really opened up a whole new world to me of like, oh, I can like play cello and play music in different ways instead of just this one track that I thought.
I just started playing in a band a month ago, and I've never done that before ever. So it's like a really, really new experience. It's really cool. I'm having a lot of fun, like just expanding what kind of music I'm playing, because I've pretty much only played classical music before. But it's really similar in some ways and really, really different in other ways. So I don't know, it's fun.
I just love music. I love how it makes me feel. I feel like it is a different form of language that you can communicate with people different feelings without words.
Let's see, why have I kept playing? I don't think it ever really occurred to me to stop playing. I think it's just like been my life, and it's been such a positive thing in my life for so long. And like I said, like just like all of the communities that form around music, and also actually enjoying practicing. Like that wasn't something I liked to do when I was little, but now I actually like to just sit down with my cello for an hour. It's kind of a nice, it makes it, I don't know, it's just a good time for me to be by myself and clear my mind and just kind of relax and process things.
I think for me, like playing music, and it's like everyone has different reasons for playing music, but for me, the reason why I play music is because you connect with other people when you do it. And it just, I have many feelings, and it's like a good way for me to like, I don't know, just kind of get them out there in like a constructive way. Yeah, and so for me, when I was getting like more serious and kind of deep into like the classical world, and like these are the steps you need to take and these are the people you need to know to like advance yourself, it was just kind of sucking a lot of the joy out. It didn't feel right to me, and it didn't feel as like joyous and like as pure of a way as being like, we're like making this beautiful thing together. And so it just was really lucky actually that I'd like just finished this big like music history exam, and I had some time on my hands, and I like saw a bulletin board with a flyer that's like, hey, like we're auditioning cellists for a band, and it had never occurred to me that like, oh, like cellos can play in bands. And so I just kind of auditioned on a whim, and the people that I played with in that first band just really shared a lot of those values with me about like, I don't know, like super idealistically like trying to make the world a better place by playing music and like by being good people in that way. So that's kind of how I fell into it, and I'm really happy now and with that choice.